Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to my reading wrap up for the month of May, which is a little bit, I don't know. It's better, I guess. It's good. I'm happy with it. It is what it is, right? I have this much time and I have this much attention, and I had that much of a reading slump. So there's that. But I'm coming out of that now, and I'm very happy about that. Currently, I wanted you to know that I'm still trying to read The List of Suspicious Things by Jenny Godfrey, and this was my book club selection for the month of May, and we were supposed to talk about it at the beginning of June, and I did not finish it because I just couldn't do it. So this one will be something that I continue to go back to, hopefully, and get it read. So I also started reading this one. This is one that I got from my library in another county when I was taking care of my other grandkids. And I decided I would just borrow a couple of books from them because, it's good for the library and I can return it fairly easily. And I was hooked. So Elizabeth Arnott, Secret Lives of Murderous Wives, is a very interesting book, and I'm happy to say that I can use this for Justice June. I'm about halfway through currently, and I'm enjoying it. It's really, really good. I can't find it I could purchase it on on Libro. I haven't purchased on Audible in years. I could purchase it on Libro, but I don't know that I want to keep it or have it forever. I'm just not sure yet, but I think for now it's about a 4-star, and I'd like to finish it in the month of June. Thanks to my friend Jill, who reached out to me. She saw that I had hauled this, and Jill said, you know what, that was a really good book, and if you want to get out of a slump, I think it'll help. And it has. So thank you, Jill, very, very much. So that one is also being read. So let's talk about what I read in May, and let's talk about the stats for this. There aren't a lot because I only read 4 books in the month of May. But 4 books is 4 books, right? So I'm happy that I did that. 1,051 pages, an average of 7 days to finish. So I read, I guess, about a book a week, except for there's one that's really, some people will say, oh, why did you add that? That wasn't necessary. But for me, in the moment, I did because I don't know. I'll tell you in a minute. But anyway, my moods for this particular month were lighthearted was most of the mood, followed by emotional, but could have been emotional in a good way, inspiring, hopeful, funny, and adventurous. It was medium pace for me 75% of the time, and I'm certain that this tiny little book I'm going to tell you about in a minute was my fast-paced book. Page number wise, 75% of the books I read were between 300 and 499 pages, and the other 25% were less than 300, and all of this was fiction. I know you're not surprised. The main genres here were romance, contemporary fiction, children's literature, and fantasy. So there you go. Again, in print, I read 75%, and in audio, I listened to 25%, and that was a combination of one of these, reading it physically and reading it on, I think I have it on Everand, but don't quote me on that. I'm not certain. So my average rating for these 4 books was 3.88, and I'll share with you exactly what I rated each one of them in a moment. And my highest peak reading day was days was the 18th through the 20th of May. So the first one I read was This Book Made Me Think of You by Libby Page, and this was a new release, one that I had already purchased, but also one that we decided as a book club that we were going to read, and I really enjoyed this one a lot. I gave it 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, but it was very, very close. Essentially, I didn't cry, but it was very emotional as well. So you should indeed know that. This one has the theme of a woman who's been married for a short period of time, and her husband dies, and he leaves her 12 books to read over the time of the next year. And once a month, she ends up first not knowing any of this has happened, and this bookseller calls her and says that he has a package for her addressed to her, and she can't imagine why, but she goes up there, and then she discovers that her husband has decided to do this for her, or had decided to do this for her before he died. So each month she has a different sort of focus. Each book has a different level of learning for her, and he has a message for each one inside of there. So he tells her why he chose it or what he was excited about in their relationships or whatever it might have been. He sends her this note. And so I have to tell you, this is really emotionally beautiful. It is not difficult. It wasn't difficult for me. And I was thinking I was going to cry, but I don't think I did. I don't remember a lot these days because everything is kind of in a baby blur. But I do remember thinking this one is quite something. I would reread this again. I don't plan to unhaul it or to sell it. And I would like to read more by Libby Page because I just think this was super well done. She is a journalist and a marketer, and she lives in Somerset, England, with her husband and her young son. And she's had things published in other places, but I'd never heard of Libby Page until Book of the Month featured her, and I'm really grateful that they did. But I think I also talked about her in Most Anticipated Reads because it was a good one. This one is The Stupidest Angel by Christopher Moore. And I read this and listened to this. This is my dual reading experience. This is hilariously funny. Christopher Moore is such a satirist, and he creates these events and these things that happen to people in each of his books. And in this particular case, this is and you don't have to read this in the Christmas time period, which was fine. I mean, I was happy to do it. But it is a heartwarming tale of Christmas terror, and essentially this is about some really strange people who live in this really strange town. The town is Pine Cove. And it is Christmas time, and these creepy, crazy people get into so many little things, antics, and some of them have been married, some of them are divorced, some of them are doing some things you would hope that they wouldn't do. Some of them are encountering things that they don't understand why they're happening, and this is just hard to share with you what this book is because it's so silly at times and it's so funny and it's so crazy. So it, it, I just don't know. But I have read one other Christopher Moore at least. I read the first one, I think, that he ever wrote, and we have a stack up there, as you can see, that I would like to get to more of them. But this one is a fun read, and it probably is a better read at Christmas time, but I am not regretting that I read it as well. So I gave this 3.5 stars. I think part of it was a little too silly for me. That's one of the reasons why 3.5 stars worked for me. So a little bit of like, come on. But most of it was just really, really fun. Then I read Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, which is the second in the When in Rome series. And I was gifted this and the third one in the series by my friend Crystal, who's in my book club as well. And she really enjoyed these. I liked the first one better than I liked this one, but I did like it a bit. So I liked it enough that I will continue in the series. I gave this a 2.5 though. And here's why. And I hope Crystal's not upset by this, but we all know what we know, right, about ourselves. There were just a few moments. This was very predictable, but I think they all probably are, but it was also a little bit campy. Like this main character, whose name is Annie, she has a flower shop and she's planning for something that's about to happen that is involved with flowers. And she's trying to date people because she's a very kind of introverted person who doesn't have great relationships with men. And she wants more of that. And it starts out with her having a date that goes completely off the wires. And then there's a bodyguard for her friend who is in the first novel. Her friend assigns him for him to be her like dating advisor or to help her figure out how to date and talk to men and those kinds of things. So she's very shy, she's very quiet, and she's just very innocent, let's just say, in that way. It was a good premise. So I thought for a while it was going to be a 3 or a 3.5, but it was part of it that dinged it for me a little bit was the campy language. And she's one of those people who, and I don't think that this is a bad thing at all. I've read them too. Reads those sort of historical slash-buckling romances, or those things that are steamy, and she does really, really enjoy them. But that just got a little bit too, I don't know, too much in weaving into the dialogue of the book, and I could have done without that, I guess. But I enjoyed it. I read it fairly fast. It did get me out of my slump, and I'm very happy about it. And the third one is called Beg, Borrow, or Steal. So I will probably get to that at some point this year, because I would like to kind of get, and I think there's a new one after that. So the next one, if I finish that one and I want to keep going on, I will. But if I don't like the next one a little bit more, then I might just kind of give up on that series. And then the last one I read is the one that you might think I shouldn't have added, but this is a 5-star read for me. I didn't cry, but I laughed and laughed and laughed with my granddaughter. So when we were at the hospital, Lyra got to see her brother again, this time without some of the other stuff that he had, the accoutrement that he had when she went in the first time, and she was a little bit spooked. She was happy to see him. She held out her hands. She was just really happy. But her attention span with him and with, the playing was kind of divided. So we ended up going back to the playroom twice, and then we ended up staying there because we didn't want to keep disrupting the nurses and stuff and the NICU people as well. So we read The Tickle Monster by Josie Bissett, and also illustrated by Kevon Atterbury. I hope that's right. I just never really know. But again, we gave this a 5-star. I didn't cry, but it was very emotionally beautiful. I will say the illustrations were fantastic. The plot of this book was really focused on parenting and relationships with people that we love, and bonding with people and with parents. Play, it focused on tactile stuff that we really enjoy as well. So it's kind of I don't know, it just kind of meets all of the child's requirements to be able to enjoy a book, I think. So it's the story, it's the touching, it's the laughter, it's the bonding, it's just wonderful. So again, I really did recommend this a lot. When I was sitting there, I thought this is really a book that I would purchase for other kids, like, not just my grandkids, but other kids that I know that would really enjoy this. So Tickle Monster was a hit for both Lyra and I, and because we laughed so much rather than crying, we agreed we would give it 5 stars. So that was my last read for the month of May. So pretty well, a little bit out of the slump, feeling like I'm still out of the slump, and I think that things will go well, and I'm hoping that I will finish these other 2 books, because I would like to do that, but I would suspect that I'll finish this one first, and I'm making that a priority because it has to go back to my library. I did extend the library loan, but it is something that I need to return fairly fast. Thank you so much for watching and for listening to my book wrap up, as well as the list of books that I read. I'd love to know what you read in the month of May, of course, as you know, and if you've read any of these books, let me know that too. And I know Jill did, so, again, thanks, Jill, for recommending that I read this one. I'm still a bit behind, both on filming and on getting my bookmarks. I have done them, but I haven't gotten them onto something that I can share with you in my Discord yet, but I will very, very soon. I'm trying to get as much done as I can, and I'm happy to say that the plan for today, when I'm filming this, is that our little guy is going to go home. He had a room in last night with his parents, and the goal is, and the belief is, that he will go home today. He's passed all of his milestones, and he's been removed from all the feeding tubes and all the other wires, and we're just so delighted. So thank you all for your support and for cheering us on, and for hoping that Mr. Oliver Matthew has the best experience. He certainly has. And again, kudos to Ochsner Baptist in New Orleans. That is an incredible group of supportive and fantastic people that really care and really got everything done and got everything explained, and were just so kind, and I can't say enough about them. So if you ever find yourself in need of a hospital, I would assume that Ochners everywhere are probably incredible. So Thank you so much for watching. Leave an emoji if you don't want to make a comment. You can leave a little monster emoji. You can leave a murderous kind of emoji. You could read a book, obviously, leave a book, obviously, for this one, and an angel for the stupidest angel. You leave whatever you would like. And as always, happy reading. Bye.